Hello, everybody, and welcome to Early Access Podcast, episode 67. I'm your host, Angelo, and thank you, as usual, to checking out the podcast, watching the videos, blah, 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 all that stuff. I haven't been writing a lot of reviews lately just because I've been busy with moving. I know I've talked about it before, but, I've written reviews take a lot more time than getting the videos up, the first look, so I've been trying to get at least a couple up a week. Doing one a day is just not possible on a normal person's schedule. I know some people do it. I tried when I first started. I was trying to get them out as often as possible, but it's just not something that I can do every day. It just was wearing on me, so it was becoming less fun for me to do. So I'm just trying to get them out when I can. This is a hobby, and if it ever gets to the point where I'm making any kind of money doing it, and I can do it on a more full-time basis, then I will. But for now, I'll provide them as I can. So I'm going to talk about a couple things today, actually. Again, more Destiny news, but it also ties into just gaming in general. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is I got the secret exotic weapon, which wasn't really too much of a secret, which leads into the topic, which is setting proper expectations. This actually lends itself pretty big into the early access gaming community, which I've talked about before about, what to expect when you get yourself into early access. So let me explain real quick what the Sleeper Simulant weapon was in Destiny, and then what happened as far as the community is concerned. So what happened was, I think it was on the back of a poster. There was an exotic weapon called the Sleeper Simulant. It's a really cool gun. It looks really neat. If you're watching the video, you can see a picture of it in high resolution. It's a pretty cool picture. And it's a heavy weapon that's a rail gun. And it's really cool. So it'll shoot through your enemy, and then as you upgrade it, I think just from the get-go, it'll shoot through it and ricochet and have a chance of hitting another enemy. And then once it gets leveled all the way up, it actually bounces around and hits multiple enemies, or each shot gets multiple ricochets. The weapon itself isn't really the point. So what happened was, there was a quest line that you had to do to get this item. Everybody expected it to be this incredibly epic quest, because before I had spoken about it, there was the black spindle sniper rifle that I had gotten a couple weeks ago, and everybody loved that, and I did too, because it was really cool. You were doing one of the daily missions, and if you got to a certain point without your entire party dying within a certain time frame, a door would be open that normally wasn't open, and if you went that way, it gave you an alternate ending to that mission, and if you completed that within the time frame of 10 minutes that it gave you, you actually got a guaranteed exotic sniper rifle, which was the black spindle. So that was a hidden thing that somebody stumbled upon. So from that point forward, what happened was the Destiny community expected everything to be like that, everything to be secret. So the quest line with this gun in particular, everybody expected it to be this grand adventure. They did, however, Bungie did say that it was going to be pretty epic. So to get this gun, what happened was, as you were questing, you would find these legendary drops. It was a bunch of letters and numbers. It was an exotic, legendary that you had to turn into the gunsmith. If you turned in all four, what happened was the other day, a random, a new mission popped up on your map on Earth. If you went and did that mission, you would get an item, and then that item made you go and collect other items. You had to go do public events on 3 different planets. You had to go do a mission to collect an item, and you had to I forget where you got the other item from. You had to dismantle a legendary or better heavy weapon to get another piece. Once you did that, you turned it into the gunsmith. After the day reset, the next day, he would give you another quest. You would go do a strike to get the last piece of this gun, and then you would turn it in and you would get your gun. Now, everybody was kind of mad about this, because what happened was, after that black spindle quest, people were anticipating this gun. So what they did was, they started over-analyzing and hyping up this gun artificially. which is what brings me to setting your expectations. So what happened was the community really got way over its head as far as what this gun was actually going to be and what to expect out of it, or like what the quest line was going to be. But I'm going to break it down for you real quick about like what the quest line actually was and what the internet did to ruin this quest line. So what happened was I broke down the quest pretty basically, and if you don't want to listen to me spoil the quest, well, I'm not going to really spoil it too much, but if you don't want me to spoil it, just skip ahead a couple minutes. I'll pop it in the show notes when I stop talking about this. But however, so the quest line actually wasn't that easy. What happened was, though, that everybody went to the internet for the answers, and on top of it, a lot of people had speculated how you were going to get this get this gun in the first place. So when it actually happened, everybody already did all the legwork, so everybody knew what to do. For instance, when you got the first quest, what happened was you went and you killed a bunch of enemies. Well, the enemies came in 4 waves, and they spawned in 2 different forms. There was a regular enemy and then a taken enemy, and they spawned in a line, and there was I think 10 enemies per line. Well, once you killed all 4 waves of these enemies, you got an item. Well, when you went to interact with the item, you had to click on it and input 4 sets of codes to unlock this cube or this item. Now, turns out the answer to each sequence was actually the order that the enemies spawned in each of those waves. If you weren't paying attention, that could have given you some trouble. Yeah, you could have brute forced your way through it and guessed. I mean, it was only 2 options per tick mark, but it was still 10 possible combinations 4 times. It was something that should have taken you a little bit to figure out. Now, that happened, so everybody knew already what to do because one person posted, and all of a sudden you know all 4 sequences. So it took the mystery out of that puzzle. Now, you turn that in, and then it unlocks, and you have 5 other quests to do. Now, each quest has a string of code that was broken up. One was like Warsat, letters, numbers, and then like Luna and Terra and Mars. And then what that meant was you had to go and find one of the Warsat public events to get an item from that on each of those 3 planets, on the Moon, on Earth, and on Mars. Pretty cool. But again, once it got out there, everybody knew what to do with that. Then there was one where you had to break down the legendary, which somebody stumbled across and put that on the internet. And then the 5th part of it was doing this one specific quest that was from before, like an older quest, to go get this one item from the archives. Again, this is all stuff that people figured out, and then what happened was, instead of people doing it on their own, they just went straight to the internet, and they ruined the whole quest line. So it's your fault for setting your expectations on this gun way higher than they need to be, and then even though there was a lot to do with this quest, you let it disappoint yourself by going on the internet and finding the guide to do it. And it just goes with everything. It goes with setting expectations for early access games and setting expectations for other games. For instance, this is going to lead me into the next game I want to talk about, and I played the Star Wars Battlefront beta. Again, setting your expectations. A lot of people went into this game expecting it to be the next Battlefield game. And in a lot of ways it is, with a Star Wars skin. If you're going into this game thinking that it's not a first-person shooter Star Wars game, or it's not like a Battlefield just with a Star Wars skin on it, you're already doing it wrong. Like, where are your expectations when it comes to a game developed by EA and it's a Star Wars property? It looks and plays exactly as I expected it to play, which is great, by the way. I mean, actually, this plays a lot better than most of the Battlefield games, and I'm not a big fan of Battlefield games because they feel slow and sluggish. However, it works with this game, like, in my opinion. So the beta's been out since the 8th. It's a lot of fun. They're doing a lot of things that are pretty immersive. The things that I personally enjoy that I find the most exciting are the hero upgrades, or like not upgrades, but the hero powers. What do they say? Actually, here it is. They're called iconic Star Wars characters. You can get a power up that allows you to play as Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader. So you get special abilities. It's just awesome. The first time you get it's like this great moment, and then over time, like anything else, it kind of wears off, but it's still fun. The first time I got the Luke power up, I ran into Darth Vader, and it was epic, and I ran down and I force pushed him across the room, like across a trench, and I came in and swung my lightsaber at him, and I defeated my father. I killed him again. It was really cool. And then the first time I played as Darth Vader, like, it was just so epic. I came down down a path, and I force choked the guy into the air, and then I threw my lightsaber at another guy, and then I jumped down, and then I'm like blocking lasers with my lightsaber. It feels epic. And then all the vehicles feel great. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but I mean, they all feel great. I loved being in any of the vehicles. Like, that's my favorite part of it by far. And then the shooting part, again, it's a beta, so everything's not available. There's only 4 different guns right now. You have like a handful of different upgrades and power-ups. But again, setting your expectations properly for anything, even a game like this where it's a beta, it is an open beta, so you can't expect them to have a lot of content in it, but it still feels like the Star Wars universe. DICE did a great job with the sound. It sounds amazing. All the blasters sound great. I don't know, there's just something about the game that just feels authentic to me, and it just hits that note of Star Wars just enough. I know a lot of people are upset about the single-player campaign, but I think they're doing a lot of interesting things with like the wave-based scenario stuff. It's not all story, but it's enough to give you an idea of what's going on. I think the levels look good, although it is a slower-paced game. So, for instance, the one battle mode where you're on Hoth, it does feel kind of slow. It feels like not slow like in the pacing of the game, slow like if you spawn too far away, it takes a while to get there. All the guns feel pretty similar. That's another thing that's kind of weird, because they're all blasters. They all shoot lasers, all pew pew. But it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot, and actually playing in the beta made me want to pick it up. Is it going to be the next big hardcore competitive multiplayer game? No, absolutely not. Is it going to be a game, though, that I'm going to enjoy playing? Yeah. I think as long as people play it, it's going to be a fun game. Don't go into it trying to be 40-2 and be the best guy in the game. Go in it and try to enjoy the game. Like, everything doesn't have to be competitive multiplayer. It's a good game. Like, just enjoy it for being a Star Wars game. You can play a game like this without having to be the best person in every match. Work with your teammates, do the objectives, pick up the power-ups, fly around in the ships. Even if you're not that good at it, like, don't be afraid to try to do things that don't make you the best player on your team all the time. Nothing was more satisfying than jumping in an X-Wing and then crashing it into an AT-ST. It's just stuff like that just made the time I've spent with it awesome. And I'm glad that I actually have another day. They just announced today that it's going to go until, I believe, the 12th or the 13th. I think it's going to go until October 13th. So you'll actually have a day when this goes live to check it out too. But I personally am enjoying it. I see some people are on the fence, and then some people are just complaining that it's too simple, and then some people seem to be enjoying it just the way I am. So go check it out, though. If you haven't picked it, if you haven't given it a chance yet, I'm telling you, just relax. Don't take it so seriously, and it's a lot of fun. and it's open, so anybody can go download it and go check that out. All right, let's see. So I wanted to talk about this real quick, which I missed. Apparently this happened about a week ago. Valve came down on this game called Epic Quest of the Four Crystals, and what happened was Aldoria Games and Rose Portal Games were wait, let's see. Rose Portal, isn't this the company that makes it? Maybe. I don't want to give the wrong. No, okay, yeah. So Rose Portal Games and Aldoria Games were essentially promising copies of the game for reviews. It's a little bit different than getting a review copy of a game, because they were actually giving people a copy of the game, asking them to write a review. They didn't say to give them a positive review. Like, they just said to write a review, and in return for a review, they were going to give them additional copies of the key. That's where the problem lies. I know you're supposed to disclose that you got a copy of the review, which the FTC recently changed, that you actually have to say it now. So now I have been saying it at the beginning of my videos, starting with the one I just posted for Kaiju Panic. Before, I used to just, it used to just be on my page on the website. It's just, in the terms and conditions, it's more just like, hey, unless I say otherwise, just assume I got this game as a review copy, because it's a review site. You should just, like, in my opinion, if it's a review site, just assume that I got the product for free. However, it seems that the FTC wants you to do it, wants you to let people know that that's the way it is, and it seems Steam does too. And I'm actually kind of impressed with this, because what Steam did was, so they found out this was happening, and they were unable to tell what reviews were manipulated in what way, so they just deleted all the reviews from this game. A bit excessive, maybe. However, it is the right thing to do. So now it's just a clean slate. However, I did read through the comments of the post that they put of Valve saying this, and a lot of people just said that they copied their review and put it back up there. They felt like that their reviews were honest. And then it just leads to me to believe that that's true, because even after that wipe, the game still has 106 reviews at 94% positive. So, I mean, I understand that Steam did that, but apparently people did like this game, or do like this game. So I don't know how much the free keys really changed the way people reviewed the game. I don't see. My thing is, like, if a company came to me and was like, "Hey, we're going to give you a free key for this game. If you do a positive review for it, we're going to give you a couple more." Well, if I went and reviewed the game and it was awful, I have no use for those keys. The last thing I want to do is give away keys to a game that's not good to people. It's kind of a waste. I don't want anybody playing bad games in the first place. It's kind of the whole point. And I feel like that would be the same with this company trying to get people to review their game. Like, why would they want to give away more copies of their game to people that aren't going to end up using them anyway? So it's a weird situation to be in. However, I do see why Valve did what they did, because it does feel like once you're giving them additional compensation outside of the original review copy of the game and promising them additional product, you are compensating them for their review, whether positive or negative. I understand where they're coming from. I thought it was kind of interesting. This whole full disclosure thing has come up twice now in the past month, between this and the YouTube thing. So, it's getting pretty interesting, but we'll see where it leads to. It's just going to get to a point where you're going to have to put a ticker at the bottom of every video. It's like, full disclosure, I received this for whatever, and you just leave it there for the whole video. Which may be something I will do in the future, just to try to head it off at the pass and get them out in front of that before it happens in the future. Alright, so I talked about this in the last episode, but I played a little bit more of it, and so I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. And it's the game Kaiju Panic. It's got mixed reviews right now, 66% out of 6 reviews. One of them I don't count. So I think this is actually more positive than it is mixed with the number of reviews that it has. I think the only negative that I've had with it so far is that it's $20, which is a little expensive, but it seems like there's enough content there, although I've only put about an hour into it so far. But it's 25% off until the 16th for $15, which makes it a little bit more reasonable. The one negative review I don't count because it's like I couldn't figure out the first level, and it's just like, well, how about you check the forums before you go and do that? So I was explaining it the other day. It's kind of just like an open area action strategy game where it's like it's a tower defense game, but it's also like a real-time strategy game. So you have to mine resources from this like space rock that fell, and you're fighting giant kaiju monsters from attacking a town. It does a lot of cool things though. The art style is really neat. It's cute little little characters, a head with a little bouncy head. I forget, there's something like it. I can't remember. I can't really put a comparison to it right now off the top of my head, but there's a little something like it. The monsters are all cute. Everything's got big eyes and little round, cute creatures. So the interesting thing is all the characters. So in each level, you can collect civilians. Your whole goal is to save survivors. Well, as you save the survivors, they all have different ability scores. So when you place your turrets, you actually put these civilians inside of them, and it affects how fast they shoot, how much damage they do, reload speed, all that kind of stuff, which I find like a cool mechanic, which is different for most of these games. You also can unlock and level up new guns and bombs and different placeable buildings and everything for your defenses as you go through the levels. And you can also upgrade permanent character upgrades for you. So for instance, double starting money I saw is one of them. God, I can't even think. One is when you pick up resources, it expands the radius that they come to you, so you can you don't have to run so close to them. However, I have had some problems with just the start of this game, and one of the biggest things is that it's slow. You got to place your resource your mine, which harvests your resources, which takes your 250 starting credits. Then you got to wait about 30 seconds for the mine to give you the money back so you can build your first turret. And then at that point, the enemies probably have already come in. You also have to find time to go gather up the civilians. You have to put the civilians in there, but the buildings build faster when you have civilians near it, but you can't go collect your resources when you're standing next to it. So it's like a weird time management thing there. And then the monsters are incredibly hard at the beginning. If they get to your turret and you don't kill them, they will kill the turret. And with how slow the resources generate and how much it costs to build a new turret, you find yourself in a situation where you've built one turret, but then it gets destroyed and you can't build a second turret. So from what I understand, though, if you go straight for the double starting money ability or perk, if you will, it really does help out with that. But I don't like that you have to go after a perk in the first level. I'm still working my way through the first of 6 worlds, and I'm running into that problem, and I didn't know to go buy these perks until I read something on the forum about it. But other than that, I think it's adorable. I totally recommend checking it out, especially at $15. Like I said, I put about an hour into it, and I have 1 level left on the first area of 6. And I didn't even get all the stuff that you can do. In the 1 level, I didn't get all the civilians I could get, and in the other one, I didn't finish one of the side objectives. So there is replayability in that, if you're the type of person that wants to perfect all the levels. But the biggest thing for me, the art style is adorable. You can also check this out on Xbox, and I believe that is it. I think it only came out on Xbox and PC. It doesn't say on here right now. I thought it did, but Might have been on the website. I saw. Let's see. View website. Let me check real quick for you. Pre-order. Oh wait, there we go. Platform. Mac OS. Okay, so this hasn't been updated, but yeah. So it's available on Steam and Xbox One, and it is available on Xbox One. I saw it on the dashboard when I was looking at the games today, so you can get it on Xbox. Alright, so I grabbed 3 games to talk about. 2 of them are early access, 1 of them is not. I'm actually going to talk about this one first, because I thought it was pretty interesting, that's why I pulled it. So it's called This Book is a Dungeon. It's got 9 reviews, all of them are positive. It is $6, 33% off, so it's $4 on sale until October 16th, and it's a interactive fiction book. I thought it was really interesting. It reminds me of an old interactive MUD, like a multi-user dungeon. So you're just clicking through a book. You're selecting text out of the well, you're choosing specific words out of the text that you're reading, and it's an interactive storybook. It's black and white with a little bit of color, a little bit of action, pixel art style. It's got some RPG elements from what I can see in the video, but it looks really cool, and I think the price is right. And it's a different kind of game. You know, we get a lot of point-and-click adventures, but this is a little bit different than that. I want to check it out for $4. I will be checking this one out. So go give that a look if you're looking for something different, little interactive dungeon crawler. Text-based dungeon crawler. So it's called This Book is a Dungeon. You can check that out. The next game I wanted to talk about is because I don't talk about these that often, like first-person shooters, because there's so many just random indie first-person shooters in early access. But this one's actually got a pretty decent rating. And so it's called Ballistic Overkill. It's mostly positive with 96 reviews. It's 71%, and it's $7. So it looks like a first-person shooter. So it's class-based. I like the idea of it says there's no wimpy classes, so all the classes are you know, there's no healer or defender or whatever. Everything's out to kill, like you're out to kill guys. It's 71%. It seems like a competent shooter. This guy says it has bad frame rate, so there's that. This guy says the same thing. So it looks like people are having trouble with frame rate issues. Frame rate. It has a reason why it's so cheap. This game is not even in shape to be called a beta. Yeah, okay. Cheaters. Frame rate. So it's up to you if you want to take the chance with a game like that. Yeah, for like online multiplayer games that are in early access tend to have a lot of hackers. So, you know, check that out at your own risk. Alright, the last game I grabbed is called Krai Mira. I think it's Krai. It's Krai. Krai. And it says it's a single-player adventure game that takes place on boundless steppes, radioactive swamps, distinctive settlements, and grim mountain forest. So this is an action-adventure, top-down, third-person, omniscient view. So, you know, like old-school point-and-click shooters. Not shooters, but RPGs. And that's exactly what it looks like. It's got 4 positive reviews so far, and it is $15, but it's 15% off until the 15th of October for $12.74. I think it looks pretty cool. It's got that art style that you would expect out of a game like this. So you're clicking around. Is it turn-based? Can't tell if it's turn-based shooter or not. Yeah, it looks like it's a turn-based action adventure RPG. It looks kind of like Wasteland. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But yeah, you're searching around through all those places that I named and going through the story. Let's see. Frustrating game, blah, blah, blah. This guy says it's fun. And none of these reviews are really substantial except for one, but I'm not going to read this. Wow, that is So this person wrote a review and then updated his review. Yeah, I don't know. His original flawed review, he said. I don't know. I'd have to read through the whole review to find out why he said that. I guess he wrote a negative review and then felt bad, and then decided to write a better review. Maybe that's what happened. But yeah, Krai Mira, it's a different kind of game. It's pretty cheap, as long as the content's there. Yeah, you can go check that out. But that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. As usual, check out Early Access Podcast on YouTube, at Early Access PC on Twitter. I don't even know. Oh yeah, if you want to help out the show, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can use the Patreon, patreon.com/earlyaccess, or you can click through the Amazon banner at the bottom of earlyaccessmedia.com. If you click through that, just bookmark it. Whenever you buy anything off of Amazon, just use that link. It gives me a kickback. I say me because I am Early Access Media. There is no one else here. But it does help out the show. Every little bit counts. Let's see, anything else? Probably have another review up this week. I just put up the first look of Kaiju Panic, so go check that out on the YouTube channel. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for episode 67. Thanks for checking it out, and I will see you guys for the next episode.